Sometimes when I hear the Southern River Band boys playing, I just wonder what Mark Reddings would have been like with a big mop of hair slaying away in the crowd. You are on the Shelter FootyCast. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings with you. G'day, Skeet.
Hey, yeah, g'day, Scully. And, actually, Kiss is coming to town. I was a huge Kiss fan growing up, put the makeup on. So, yeah, don't get me wrong.
Really?
They were huge. And I've got to tell you, they were outstanding. They haven't aged because when you got makeup on, no one knows how old you are. Great to be here. I know I'm formally dressed today, but I have to say, I just got a text from Larry and Leggy, and he said that the flag mantle tops, which you've been flogging beautifully for the past 3 weeks, they were $52.50 retailing yesterday at about $3.45. They've just dropped fractionally to $12.90, so just a little bit of a drop in the value.
Larry from Leggy, and I tell you what, that's very good from you, Skeet. Yes, I am aware. I was watching the Collingwood game. Yes, I was going for Carlton.
Me too.
Not because of flag mantle, which I'm wearing. A couple of these spare out the back here at BackChat Studios, but I wanted Freo to finish top four for West Australian people. So we are going to cover that today. It's a West Australian theme here on the Shelter FootyCast. We'll go through West Coast. We'll go through Fremantle. You can follow us on socials. Shelter FootyCast on Instagram. FootyCast at shelterbrewing.com.au is our email. If you want to send us any sort of freebies, that's where to do that as well. Shelterbrewing.com.au, our beer. You can find it there. And find us and watch us on YouTube or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Shelter, born and brewed in Busselton. Let's get through the round, the final round. I can't believe we're here. Some people, I have seen a couple of emails come through, we're going to miss the show. This is going to keep rolling. Don't worry about, it's not just...
Well, I will. I'll keep rolling. You just disappear to Europe tomorrow, but that's another story for another time.
Well, we can talk about that now. Simon Beaumont's in the house. He's out the back. He's come in. He's going to be subbing in for myself, Will Schofield. So... look, I'm sure you two will cover footy, but you two could actually have a 5 to 10 minute segment on dress sense at the start of the show.
I better say, it's a like-for-like replacement when it comes to dress sense, so it'll be really good. Looking forward to it.
Very good. So, yeah, I'll be out the door on Tuesday, but let's get into the week that was. Some big moments, of course, just gone. It was a really big week of footy, not alone the last weekend of footy, but... Clarkson goes to North Melbourne. I'm pretty sure words that came out of my mouth, something of the effect of, why on earth would you go to North Melbourne? But considering what's happened in Essendon, why on earth would you go to Essendon? He goes to North Melbourne.
He summed it up pretty well, didn't he, when he talked about why? He said, well, Essendon came to the party really late in the last sort of week. If I'm going to do my due diligence on picking a footy club to go to, I need more than a week. And I have to say that all the word coming out of Victoria is at North Melbourne. Sonia Hood, the chairman, or the president, has done a terrific job in wooing Alistair Clarkson. In essence, what's happened here is that Alistair Clarkson is there, and he's decided that Essendon has come late in the piece and wanted to date his girlfriend. And he said, no, I'm staying with my girl. I've decided on that, and I'm
getting married.
As I say, I showed a bit of leg, but no, I'm staying with my girl. And that's what he's done. And kudos to him, even though that girl is, I tell you what, there's some work to do for them to get their relationship where they want it.
But I mean, if Essendon's a girl, she's seen a few fellas in the last period of time as well. So yeah. So if we're talking about in those terms, exactly right. I'm trying to keep it PG here. I will say not much was covered, or I certainly didn't see a lot on the fact that Clarkson played for North Melbourne. I knew he played for North Melbourne, but that was the thing I took out of the press conference. Yes, he spoke about Essendon's late play and he gave them some respect, but in reality it wasn't going to happen. His connection to North Melbourne as a young man, as an 18, 19-year-old, he spoke about the loss of his brother, and that effectively he was off the rails. He didn't say those words, but he said mischievous. But he said that the support he copped at North Melbourne under Dennis Pagan as one of his coaches, and probably the administration there at the time, really meant something to him, and they helped him when he was in a bad way. And perhaps now's the time that, one of the best coaches over the modern era, the last 20 years, it's his chance to give back to the North Melbourne Football Club. And if you take him at his word, which he seems like a man of his word, that's a big, big thing that probably outweighs everything. Outweighs money, outweighs contract length, outweighs list. He wants to help the North Melbourne Footy Club.
Yeah, I mean, the other element of this story is what's happened at Essendon with Ben Rutten. It's been really difficult to watch, and I don't know the guy, but he looked on Saturday night after the loss to Richmond completely broken. He was emotional. Essendon, and we've said this before, when David Teague was put in a similar position by Carlton, how do clubs get to the point where they allow good people to get put in those situations where it's humiliating? And Rutten's going to get a $600,000 payout, but of course he won't get a senior coaching job in the short term. I'd be staggered if someone like even Alistair Clarkson doesn't pick him up as an assistant. But what happens now is, who coaches Essendon? Because David Barham has come out saying essentially they need an experienced coach. Well, if you look around, James Hird has been mentioned, which seems an extraordinary time warp position. Look, I hate to say it, the name that comes to mind as an obvious possibility, experienced, could potentially look after the coterie groups and control what is a bit of a fractious football department.
Kevin Sheedy.
Not Sheeds. Sheeds on the board, and heaven knows where that's gone in the last few weeks. Does Ross Lyon get another job?
So, I think no. I heard him on Triple M yesterday. Some of the best radio I've heard for a fairly long time. He gave a full debrief of what happened when he left St Kilda and into Fremantle. I'd never heard it before. He spoke for 15 minutes. We know what happens in commercial radio. They've got ads to get to and breaks and credits. It was just Ross Lyon speaking for 15 minutes. It was unreal. And Jay Clark, who was on that program, asked him directly, would you coach Essendon? He didn't say no, but he said it sounds like and feels like they want an Essendon person.
Gee, that narrows the field a bit.
Yeah, correct. So if he's out, Buckley's said no. He's come out and said no. I was trying to think of experienced coaches that have come out in the past, period of time that would be available. Don Pike is one name that I thought. Leon Cameron is another.
Ken Hinckley, maybe?
Ken Hinckley, but he's contracted.
He's committed.
I don't know if you're leaving Port Adelaide to go to Essendon.
They cannot just quickly. They cannot be narrowing their field down to Essendon people. You got a very, as I say, apart from Sheeds, who was 24 years in the making at Essendon. Who else has got senior coaching experience? I mean, I'll tell you who might be. Now that I think of it, Dean Solomon wouldn't be.
Yep.
Again, he hasn't had any senior coaching experience, but he's been an assistant for a long time. But gee, they're a mess. They're a basket case.
Absolutely. I did want to touch on this one just quickly if we can finish on that one. I'm trying to remember who you took. There was a player and an incident that you weren't happy with, Stephen May. So Stephen May, that whole thing, you said maybe there's some off-field stuff that's gone on with him and, things that have been said, and you weren't happy with sort of his behaviour. I'm going to take aim at Zorko, and I very, very rarely do this. From what I've heard and what I've read and what I've seen, again, mistakes happen on the football field, and it's white line fever sometimes, and I can be the first to put my hand up and say that happens, and I'm not going to hold someone, at firing squad for saying something that they didn't mean. But if you go and do that, so less about what was said, I think I do know what was said. It was less about that because heat of the moment things happen, and I can say that.
Can we safely say, without being specific, that had to do with the relative of Harrison?
Yeah, I mean everyone said that, right? So I don't really. We don't know that either, right? So we weren't out there. That's why I don't want to speak about that. But if that's what's happened, clearly something was said. Harrison Petty was crying. Zorko was apologising after the game. So clearly something's happened. If that goes on, and you're the captain of a footy club, get in front of a camera and put your hand up and say, I stuffed up. Don't put out a press release written by a media person at Brisbane, just the most cliche bull dust stuff that comes out. Mate, you have to, if you've really royally stuffed up, which it sounds like he has, put your face to it and put your hand up. I reckon there's less speculation and less people coming at him from the shadows if he gets in there and says, this is what happened. I don't want to speak about exactly what was said. I said something I shouldn't have on the field. I put my hand up. I'm the leader of this footy club. Not good enough. I just a written press release is just garbage for mine.
Question without notice, the Zorko and an on-field apology of sorts, it brings back against North Melbourne. Might have been Brett Harvey going back a few years ago. So I don't think, I stand corrected, I don't think it's the first time he's been involved in, nothing to this level, of course. But yeah, he's a captain. He's 33. Is there any chance he'll lose his role as skipper
next year? Yeah, you would think that would be severely under threat. Not only because of that, though, because of his age, because of Brisbane's list position. But I just would have liked to have seen a stronger media presence from Dane Zorko. That's all. Okay?
Fair enough.
So, and again, I reiterate, things happen on the football field. Things happen in life that you can't take back. But you can take accountability. More so than a written statement. I did like how
he might be doing stuff privately with.
Well, let's hope so.
Yep.
Let's hope so. Finals week 1 matchups: Geelong play Collingwood, Fremantle play the Bulldogs, Brisbane play Richmond, Melbourne play Sydney. The dates and times of those. Freo playing Saturday night.
6:10 p.m. at Optus Stadium. Geelong Collingwood's the twilight game on that Saturday at 2:35 WA time. Brisbane Richmond is the Thursday game, which is, I think, 5:20 our time on Thursday week. And then you've got Melbourne Sydney with the nightclub music in the background. That is Friday night at the MCG at 5:50, I think will be the bounce down for that. So there's our four matches.
Some mouth-watering matchups, if you don't mind. You're on the Shelter FootyCast. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings. Let's get into the western side of things. West Coast and Freo wrap for the weekend. I want to start on West Coast and get them done and dusted because their season is over. It's Monday. The boys will be on Mad Monday. That's not really a thing anymore because of everything. You know, they'll be having a few beers, I think, quietly. But they've got a waffle side still playing in the waffle, so half the team will be separated. It's very different times to back in the day where everyone would be costumed up and on their Mad Monday. West Coast aren't that, but for a lot of their players, the season's over. They finish in Geelong. It's just a morbid place down there for the Eagles. They've lost by a couple of 90s in the past. It was looking competitive and okay for most of the game, but a complete blowout in the end. 85 points to Geelong, and they march into finals. West Coast pack their bags.
Yeah, nothing surprised us about that game, did it, really?
No.
We saw Jamie Cripps. Congratulations, 200 games to him. He was pretty good for them. Paddy Dangerfield, 300th match. They did what they had to do. They've got a couple of sore bodies after that round of footy, Geelong, but they've got a fortnight to get themselves right. I think it's exactly what they needed with no Jeremy Cameron there. Tom Hawkins bobs up with 4 goals.
Yeah, he does. So Colin Jasny was subbed out with a concussion, but I guess that's one positive about the bye. You know, you will get players back. Junior Rioli was subbed out of that game with abdominal issues. So we saw a bit of Greg Clark. Cam Guthrie, probably the biggest injury of the day because I think he's one of their better players through the midfield. He copped a weird knock in his shoulder area. It wasn't a traditional AC. It was sort of a knock in the middle of his arm, which I was trying to figure out what that would actually be, but he looked in a lot of discomfort. So keep your eyes on that one across the next couple of weeks because I don't think it's that traditional just stinger and they get up the next week. It didn't look good for him.
And for the Eagles, to my understanding, some exit interviews tomorrow, so there'll be some players learn their fate most likely or definitely as of about 24 hours from now. They've got Friday, the John Worsfold Medal. We'll preview that on Thursday.
Yep.
Gee, it's a tough. I was speaking to Tyson Beattie from the Eagles. He's had to put through a round by round on the big screen. He said, holy dooly, this is a tough job this year. You think of some of the results that have come their way, and the supporters who get there
struggling for highlights.
Yeah, that's an understatement of the year. So no love for the Eagles at the end of been a tough year, and Nick Nat's undergoing knee surgery, we believe, and there's going to be a lot of investigation into their list and how they've gone about it in the past 12 to 18 months. And yeah, I mean, they're not going to panic, but they certainly do have to make some changes. Can't believe only one player at this stage, Josh Kennedy, retiring. That's where we're at. It seems where...
I mean, well, on that though, because can I give you my preemptive top three? Because I won't be here Thursday. On that point, I think Shannon Hearn will be a top 3, best and fairest. So he can't retire, surely, after... Because he's been consistent again. He does his role, he'll get votes. He played almost every game. He missed a couple of injury. So he'll be up there. I think Tim Kelly finishes in the top 3. I think the top 3 will be Tom Barrass, win. Tim Kelly second. Shannon Hearn third. That's mine. So on retirements, Shannon Hearn's not retiring. Luke Shuey's the captain. You know he's
got a 1-year deal. He's going on.
Yep. So
Jack Redden, his body's a bit banged up, but I think he wants to play on.
Yep. Nananui, he'll be going.
He's the big watch in brief. He's the big watch for next year because his knee's no good. He needs to lose some weight for mobility, but of course, to my understanding, he can't lose that weight because he can't get the run into his legs to get as mobile as he's like. That's what my understanding is. So
might need to teach him how to swim. He's not a very good swimmer, and we might need to get him in the pool over pre-season, get a couple of kilos off him.
Maybe when he's got the bub in hand, or was that...
Yeah. Well, it's all happening over at Nananui household, so we'll see how he goes. West Coast done and dusted. Clearly a disappointing season. I'm not sure if you boys will touch on them at all. Maybe a bit of a review of their season on Thursday, but thank God that's over. Fremantle defeat GWS by 20 points. A really big victory. Now, I know GWS finished 16th. They're not a good side. You still have to beat them. And they clearly were motivated by ruining or displacing Fremantle's final top 4 side hopes. GWS were leading by about 30 points at one stage. Fremantle turn it all around, win by 20. A big victory on the road, which they've never done. They have never won outside of Western Australia in the history of their football club in the last round of the year. They have won an away game, but it was a derby. So Fremantle, big win for them, I think.
It is, and what it does do is, given the fortnight break, they've got some sore bodies. Griffin Logue was a late withdrawal from that game. Matt Taberner, of course, Rory Lobb didn't play either. So all those forwards, they get a bit of time to get some continuity and some training.
You said potentially Nat Fyfe in the waffle?
Well, that's Justin Longmuir saying that. So that the Peel Thunder side play the Eagles this week, and Nat Fyfe had a nearly game, in the words of the coach of Fremantle, and he looked good at times, but just he looks rusty. That's the bottom line. He looks rusty. Does he play for Peel this week? I don't think so. I said to you last time, I think he plays for Peel. I think Matt Sim for him might be the best option.
Just so we know, the waffle requirements, Fremantle can't roll in 12 players that they want to get a run into. You need to be either coming off injury, have missed a large portion, fighting for selection or not in the team. They can't just play Andrew Brayshaw.
No.
So there is certain requirements. I think Nat Fyfe will meet that if they do want to play him, but I didn't think he was going to play when he should have probably played. So I'll have to say he's not going to play, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him play.
Yeah. Look, anyway, end of the day, Caleb Sarong was the guy that got them really humming. He was terrific. Michael Walters, 3 goals in his 200th game. So it was a mature performance by them. I thought to come back from 5 goals down, they won essentially kicking away. Question to you, do you think they showed against, say, the Bulldogs, back at home here and then away against the Giants and the Derby, enough to suggest that they're going to be very competitive in the finals?
Yes, and my jumper says that also, Flagmantle. I will add, they were in the top 4 until a minute 20 to go in the season.
But I'm talking about the way they've been playing the last month. The Bulldogs got them back into that sort of style that we've become accustomed to.
Yeah, so I think I wrote an article on Code Sports about this. I think they've changed. They lost some games to some good sides. Sydney, Melbourne, drew against Richmond after the bye. I think they lost to Carlton. I could be wrong. I could be wrong there, but they lost to some good sides and they weren't playing the brand of footy that they did in the first half of the season. I think they are now, which has never been a 10-goal win type team, high scoring, high octane. Yes, they're exciting when they move the footy when playing well, but they defend well. And I think they're defending well right now. It's built on pressure. It's built on team defence. It's built on a system of play that, similar to Collingwood, they're not going to run away from teams. So I think they are back to certainly towards their best. Some things happened over the last month that were great little see you later, Simon Beaumont. Good to see you, mate. We'll see you on Thursday. Some great things that I think coming into finals, they happen close enough to finals to actually fix and remedy. So to answer your question, yes, I think they can be dangerous. They beat the Bulldogs in their first final. They play
Geelong or Collingwood.
Yep, they play a Geelong or Collingwood in a semi at the G. Imagine if that's Geelong. Geelong have not been good in qualifying finals. You get them at the MCG, hey, you win that. You play well. They've won more games away from home this year than at home. So maybe they didn't want to have a couple of shots at home. Maybe they wanted to get out of WA. Hey,
give us a break.
Flagmantle, backchatpodcast.com.au/merch.
Let's just get across the Bulldogs first.
If you want to wear your Flagmantle stuff at the first final at Optus Stadium against the Bulldogs, you might want to get an order in, because as much as Larry from Leggy, as much as Larry is holding stock, there's not a lot left. backchatpodcast.com.au/merch. That's it. The Freo, West Coast. We're going to get into the rest of the round. Shelter FootyCast. Mark Reddings, Will Schofield. Melbourne defeat Brisbane by 58 points on Friday night. It was an absolute fizzer. I thought it was going to be the game of the round, other than Collingwood-Carlton. Melbourne, I believe... Did you pick Brisbane?
Absolutely. They were pathetic.
Yes, they were. I would say they were less pathetic than Melbourne were outstanding. This is the Melbourne side that wins finals.
Yeah, huge, and it was from the first bounce, essentially. Yep. This game was controlled by Melbourne. They were outstanding. What they did up at the Gabba, which they've done against Brisbane for a while now, Brisbane like to try and use the ball through the corridor. They just denied them that. And when they did try and pull the trigger, they turned it over. So many nice signs for the Melbourne Footy Club, and they head into the qualifying final against Sydney, looking as dangerous as any other team in the competition at the moment.
They set themselves for this game. I saw the players interviewed after the game. You saw them in the rooms, the way they sung the song. You can tell a lot by that. It might seem stupid, but you can see when you just get a win and they just stand there and sing it and go and get their Powerades and sit in the corner. They were screaming their song. Brisbane, one of the best first quarter teams in the comp. So Melbourne knew that and wanted to start well, and they did. And it doesn't go well for Brisbane. Answorth will miss. Rayner will miss. How did you see that tackle with Rayner and Brown in the middle of the ground on the cricket pitch? Did you see it?
Yeah. No.
So Ben Brown, big guy, takes the tackle on. Rayner, stocky, strong guy, put him in a double arm tackle, used his momentum in it, so they sort of swung around and they landed on the cricket pitch, and Ben Brown's face hit the ground. And so there's blood coming out everywhere, there's bruising. It wasn't ideal that his head hit the ground, but it wasn't the typical slinging two-action tackle. I think Rayner's probably unlucky, but he'll potentially miss the first final because of that. And he's a big piece in their puzzle. And they come up against Richmond in the first final, which you've been banging on about Richmond for a long time. Not the team you want to be facing.
No. And the great thing for Melbourne is that their big names, Oliver with 30 touches, 13 clearances, they started to really hum. Bailey Fritsch with 4 goals. Aussie, because I pick it with 4 as well, Brown with 3, so they're getting a good spread of goal kickers, just what they need, and you just feel that they have clicked back into gear at the right time. That could have been so much different. The Melbourne-Carlton game could have changed seasons for a lot of clubs.
I will add, Jared Berry did an all-time ankle. Like, he did it, and within 2 minutes, they were strapping up. I couldn't believe they were strapping it up. It was huge. So I've done a lot of ankles in my time. It didn't look like he had them strapped, which is very old school. Why don't you have ankles strapped? But I strap my ankles every game, every training session. My trainers kept me in the game. I used to love them. I used to have my trainer that used to strap my ankles all the time. It doesn't stop you from doing ankles. Strapping ankles does not stop you from rolling your ankle, but it stops severe ones because it gives you a bit of proprioception down your ankle. So when you do roll them, I used to roll them all the time. It gives you almost a reminder to right yourself or to get yourself in a better position. So I was surprised he didn't have them strapped, and it was a bad ankle. So ankles are difficult to get up from. I don't know if he plays in round 1 either.
And what does proprioception mean?
You want to get a Oxford Dictionary definition, or Will Schofield
just
definition?
A layman? No, for someone like me.
Proprioception is sort of, it's like that. It's like a mental reminder. It's not, okay, so non-proprioception device would be like having a plaster cast that your ankle cannot bend. Proprioception is like a reminder to your brain, hey, your ankle's not in the right position here. You need to right yourself. So that the tape sends a reminder to your brain. So it's I would say it's close enough to mindset.
This is a footy cast, but Scully's turned this into... the young doctors, some medical...
The young doctors, no one's watched that. Okay, very good. Well, you've started the weekend well. You picked...
righto.
You picked Freo, I'm assuming, surely, and you picked Geelong, but you picked Brisbane. Well done.
Yeah.
Gold Coast defeat North Melbourne by 67 points. Both picked Gold Coast. I forgot to mention last week, whoever wins this tipping round wins the entire season.
Turn it
up. We both picked Gold Coast, North Melbourne. I actually did think North Melbourne might, I don't know.
You did, you always tipped them. I almost pushed you into tipping them.
Yeah, I just thought, I don't know, Clarkson comes
in. How much work has Clarko got to do? Let's be honest. This is going to be he's in brief. The game was a one-sided affair, and I don't think there's much point going into the in-depth.
Yeah.
Do you think Clarko will succeed at North Melbourne and getting them to the 8 in 5 years?
Yes. Yep. Oh, I heard him speak on 360 about the list, and they've got some very good midfielders. LDU.
Yeah, that's right.
Davies Unaki. What?
Keep going.
What? You tell me. Is that his name or not? Hey?
UDL, go, yeah.
UDL. They've got Taron Thomas playing in the VFL at the moment. He's a star. I'm not sure what's going on there, that mismanagement. They didn't want to play Horn Francis the last couple of weeks. So they're right there. Jai Simpkins, another one. So there's 4 guys. They've had some high draft pick, but definitely Powell.
Yes.
So there's 5 really young midfielders that he will grow into great midfielders. They're high draft pick, high talent. It's a difference between coaching a side with no talent and having to put some system in place to get them through.
You reckon they've got... See, I'm not sure they've got the talent to bounce that quickly. You're even trying to
5 years not
Luke Davies-Uniacke. I mean, you've got guys that Powell have been in the system for a little bit. Look, I hope you're right, but recycled premiership coaches don't always provide... I mean, we saw Malcolm Blight go across and do a great job at Adelaide.
5 years isn't a short time.
No, it isn't a short time, but gee, there's a lot of faith in Clarko.
Yeah, he's probably the only way's up, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Way is up. Yeah, because you can't go any worse than they're going. So I would say that is a positive for him. He's going to be backed in and see how you go. Right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Richmond defeat Essendon by 66 points. No shocks here. Essendon giving up really. There was some good moments in this game, though, particularly Michael Hurley. I saw Jack Rewalt speak about this. So they've got a deep connection with Ben Rutten, the Richmond Footy Club. He was a coach there. With 2 minutes to go, I believe the Richmond backline left Hurley open deliberately to allow him a chance to get a mark. That you don't see that very often in professional sport at all, let alone AFL. I thought it was pretty special by Richmond, and they celebrated with him as if he was one of their own. I thought that was one of the better moments of the year, to be honest, by Richmond. Pretty classy.
Yeah, absolutely. It was his first game, Michael Hurley, in, I think, 700 days. It's his last game, of course, as well. So a sad but a night of celebration for him to get out there and enjoy doing what he was very good at for a long time.
Tom Lynch kicked 5 goals. He's starting to look like... the best forward in the competition. He's kicked 20 goals, 21 goals in the last 4 weeks.
He won't be All-Australian, but gee whiz, he's the informed forward.
It looks like he's done his groin, or at least has a slight issue there. He was subbed out late in this game. That'll be a absolutely gigantic loss to the Richmond Tigers if he can't get back and play. They showed a picture of him. He did have ice around his hammy, but I reckon it's a groin. So the thing with groins, I know this is turning into a bit of a medical,
No, you're doing it beautifully.
The thing with groins is, in opposed to a hamstring, you can't get through a hamstring in a game. You either done it or you haven't. Groins, it's a big body of muscle, and so sometimes, depending on where the issue is, the rest of the muscle will take over, and you can actually get through at 80%, 70%. You can't do that with a hamstring. If you've got a hamstring issue, you can't play. So almost hoping that it's a groin issue. Maybe you can stay deeper close to home, still be a threat for Richmond. But they get it done against Essendon, who that they will just be thanking everyone that their season's over. They've almost been, I think you made the Essendon's been, I think I might have actually, Essendon's been the most disappointing club of the year for mine.
Close to it. I mean, they played finals last year. They finished 15th this year. I mean, Rutten in his first season gets them into finals, misses this year. The off-field issues with the club are quite extraordinary, unprecedented, I think, for clubs at this time of the year to be self-imploding like they are. So the Bombers, thank goodness, it's all over.
Okay, so we both got the tip right there. Port Adelaide defeat Adelaide in the showdown by 56 points. Not even a contest. Does that say Adelaide next to my name?
Yeah, no, you were pretty confident on the Crows last week. And I have to say, for Robbie Gray, who I think was one of the guns of Port Adelaide, probably arguably their best ever player.
Modern era best player?
Yes, exactly.
There's, Warren Treadray.
Oh, Treadray was a genius, yes.
Yeah, but like Corns, Chad and Kane.
I think 270 games, 373 goals off the top of my head. He was just brilliant. And so were Port Adelaide. They've finished the season full of running, and you know what? Go back to 0-5.
Yeah.
That's what's killed them.
Yeah, it has. So I don't know how that happens for a good side. So it potentially makes them not a good side. He's had a great career. Played on him a little bit through his career, and he was just dangerous all the time. You always felt like you had to be a little bit more anxious being on Robbie Gray. So it's sad to see him leave the game, but good on a positive note. Connor Rozee has been one of the better players in the competition to finish the season. He finishes with 34 touches, 5 clearances. Goals to Marshall, who's always an interesting player for mine. He's sort of, he's not a Tom Lynch take the game on, but he kicks 4 goals and he's sort of a real centrepiece for them. And when Dixon's back and playing well, he left the game with a corked leg of some description today. they might actually be a pairing that can go forward. I don't think Port Adelaide should be looking to not play finals next year, for instance. I mean, they've finished the year and they'll miss finals, but they should be looking for a quick rebound, I'd say.
Absolutely. That's a bounce back really quickly. And it depends what they do. The trade table, drafting-wise, I think they become automatic top 8.
Essendon? Where do they go? Like, we talk about Port Adelaide should be looking for a quick rebound. Essendon going to go backwards from where they are now, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't be...
Because their list isn't strong.
I wouldn't be having them as a top 8 side. They might do some really good recruiting over the summer. They might pull in a big fish when it comes to a coach. But no, I don't think you can put Essendon and Port Adelaide in the same basket in terms of potential for next year.
We did a piece where we said why each team could win the premiership at the start of this year. And I remember speaking about Collingwood, and I spoke about they're only 4 years removed from a side that made the grand final, and they have some A-graders. Pendlebury, Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe's probably close to an A-grader. The Dacos brothers are getting up there. They have, at the time, Grundy was somewhere there. They have A-graders. I don't know Essendon. They don't have Jake Stringer.
Is Parrish
and Merritt, like they're ball winners, but are they A-graders? Zach Merritt, who did I say? Stringer. When he's firing, he can be, but he can also be an F-grade player.
Ridley down back, is he?
They've turned him into like a lockdown. I don't know. He wins their best and fairest 2 years ago as an intercept third tall player, and I saw him play on Josh Kennedy here against West Coast.
I think Draper can be an A-grader.
Do you?
Oh, well, I think A-grade is probably... Yeah, I think he can be a pretty good player.
He can be one of their good players, but their list is poor, I think. Western Bulldogs defeat Hawthorn by 23 points. This was a good story, the Western Bulldogs. I think it's been glossed over a little bit. I'm waiting for you to say, you did pick them, Scully. They have been your team. You did say they were going to play finals.
Yeah, you did, actually. And kudos to you.
Because I saw the footage of the Western Bulldogs players watching the game after they had the win against...
it was Collingwood won.
Yeah, correct, yeah. And then, they were going absolutely bananas. They make finals. They come in on percentage. It would have been a hard game to watch Collingwood-Carlton for them because it never looked like Collingwood were winning.
Well, not at three-quarter time when they trailed by 4 goals. But look, the Bulldogs, they're a bit of they're a team that will go back and in their mind to go, okay, 2016.
Yes.
We can still do this. We've got a week to freshen up. We've got the midfield. I don't think they have got a side anywhere near in good a form as they did back then or any momentum. Even last year, they had momentum. They don't have that type of momentum in my eyes. They beat the Giants by a goal. They beat Hawthorn by 3.5 goals. No, they're not playing well enough.
Yeah, but 2 weeks is a long time in footy. Fremantle have a home game here, I know. I just don't know if the Western Bulldogs are... It's 5th v 8th, and I know you said they're not in form. When the Bulldogs play well, I'm not saying they are a very good football team. They have a great midfield. They have a very dangerous forward line. Their back line lets them down. Yeah, but Fremantle doesn't have a forward line, mate, at the moment. So... in terms of a matchup, look, I think Fremantle win, but if Western Bulldogs rock up, and they are the sort of side that have been galvanised in the past, not just 2016 when that all happened, but 2021 was the same. They played 8 games on the road. They clearly know a way to come finals, win games.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be looking at it as a bit of a free pass. They weren't playing until a minute to go in the season.
Exactly. And look, I think you're right. They can beat Fremantle. They can't win the flag. Just let's put that out. You know that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. But they are, they're a team that can be cheeky and pinch a final.
Can Fremantle win the flag?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, I only say that on history. History says, and you're looking at the dominant teams of the competition. Do you think they can go with Melbourne at the MCG? Do you think they can go with Geelong at the MCG?
They've already done both of those teams this year
in current form.
Anyway,
I just don't think, and that's not a knock on Fremantle. I think they've come a long way, but I just don't know if they've taken that next step to join the likes of even Sydney, Geelong, Collingwood. I mean, Collingwood just put them within 2 goals at three-quarter time and they're winning.
Go Fremantle, flagmantle, backchatpodcast.com.au/merch. Collingwood defeat Carlton by 1 point in... It was
game of the year.
It was built up as the game of the year and it executed. It was outstanding. There looked to be 90,000. I didn't know if you saw the crowd, the actual number, but...
It was 87 plus.
It would just look ballistic.
Great. It looked great, didn't it?
Like they just kept crossing. There's people crying and screaming and yelling.
The overhead shots, and it just looked like the good old days, pre-COVID, of watching 2 powerhouse clubs go at it. And at times there were mistakes and there was fumbles. And I thought the Blues were like bunnies in a headlight in the first quarter. I thought they were winning a lot of areas, but they just panicked. Yeah. And maybe the pressure of Collingwood was in part the reason.
Yeah, potentially. I just... Carlton will just be waking up this morning after 2 games. They could have beaten Melbourne the week before, and they could have beaten Collingwood, and you don't. And that sort of stuff, it might not right at this second, but you will look back in your career as a Carlton player and think about 2022 as a year that you lost, and not 4 points, the season, the opportunity. Once you don't have the opportunity, it's gone forever. And they had them, and they butchered them.
Absolutely. Against Melbourne, they didn't know how to save a game. Against Collingwood yesterday, you could say Collingwood clutch, Carlton choked.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying. In the last couple of minutes, now, we've talked about this before we began this FootyCast. They need to score just to force a draw.
They're down by a point.
And they've got the ball.
Yeah.
And, of course, I think it's Durden who has it right half forward, 60 out, thereabouts. The next move, can you talk us through what may have been his thinking in going into the pocket?
So the crowd was 88,287, so very good. Thank you for counting those up off the footage or something, Damo. Very good. Now, I just want to speak about what mindset you have as a player, right? So, one, you don't know how long's left. You know there's not long left.
You know there's a minute left or under. Because the message gets out pretty quickly.
No.
It does. Well, there's big signs. We can all see it.
Mate, I'm telling you right now. You actually can't argue with it. In my time playing, there will be very... there's not long left.
Yeah.
You don't know there's 50 seconds left.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. Yeah. But the big signs, you not see them on the other side of the ground or not?
Sometimes it's difficult. Like, for instance, the grand final, we had signs then. I had no idea. When you're in the moment, it's sometimes difficult. That's why good teams communicate well and set up well, and some don't. I just reckon Durden didn't realise there was 50 seconds left. He might have thought 3 minutes. But I want to talk about his decision with the ball, right? So he gets the ball 60 metres out. And if you can remember the play, or I'll talk you through it, they've got 2 big key forwards, Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, the last 2 Coleman medals. So they can play, can kick goals. He actually had both of them in his sights. So he had Harry Mackay short, who was doing double back leads. He was going up, down, up, down. He was trying to get the little short one, maybe 20 metres in front of him, and he would have kicked from 45 out, right?
He scores. Well, you
correct.
think he scores.
But as a player, that Carlton trained this system, and I've seen it happen many times this year, where they do a kick into the pocket where you have to kick the ball as a player before your forward moves. It's like there's not enough room to a big leading player that you kick it out in front and it's a nice mark out in the lead. It's an anticipation kick. So he looks...
Is that a risky kick then?
No, because it's planned. They would train it. They would train it weekly.
Well, then in that situation, do you hold a finger up or something up to indicate what's happening?
This is about that connection with the forward and midfield group, which every team talks about. If it's not going well, it means you don't score. It means the opposition. So Charlie Curnow and Durden, they think they're on the same page, but they're not. Charlie Curnow thinks it's going to the top of the square. Durden thinks it's that anticipation kick to the pocket. And as the backman, Jeremy Howe, you're just standing between your player and the ball, and you're watching player ball. At the right time, Jeremy Howe looks at the ball carrier, sees the ball, plays the ball, whereas Carlton are trying to do what they've been trained to do all year, which is connect with the forward. That's what you're trying to do. Look, I know it doesn't look good, and the kick to the top of the square is the right option.
Yep.
But he made the wrong decision, and he thought that they were doing their set play. I've seen it happen multiple times this year, and they just weren't on the same page. And it's one moment in a game. There was plenty of moments before
that's amplified, yep.
Correct, right? And we all see 50 seconds on the clock. Why didn't you just try and kick a point? You just need a draw. You're just not thinking of that as a player.
Aren't you? When you've got the footy, don't you feel, okay, not long left, we only need to score, or is it just you don't get that sort of concept?
I think with 90,000, with the pressure of win this, play finals, lose this, don't. I think there's enough going on to say.
Let me ask you this. Sorry,
yeah.
If Scotty Pendlebury has the footy in that situation,
yep. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it just
yeah.
Some players do,
and that connection works. he's smart enough to change his kick as he's dropping the ball. You know, he's got the seriously like you've seen him do it before. He's almost looking at the player as he's about to kick, and he can. Where Durden's not that player. Like Durden's a small forward, hasn't been in the game long. It's a big moment, and he let himself down. But that's not why they lost the game either. You know, Carlton kicked incredibly inaccurately. They had multiple chances to put Collingwood away, and Collingwood, like they've done all year, stay in the game.
Found a way.
Yeah, found a way. So it was a good moment. It's a good moment to dissect as well.
It was a great game. Well, you described it really well for those that haven't, been out there and seen the set plays unfold. Charlie Curnow gets the Coleman medal. Patrick Cripps, if he doesn't get, they lose the game, but surely he wins the 3 Brownlow votes, doesn't he?
He had personal best contested possessions.
27. Oh, is that right? 27? Is that right?
Yeah, probably.
He's in the high 20s.
Yeah, and he's never done better. He was a complete bull. Like they almost had to put someone to him. But when
Maynard sort of tried to go and shut him down in the back end of that.
But when a player like that's doing that, it doesn't matter if he's got a player on him or not.
He was just
Yeah, he was outstanding. He tried to wheel the boys over the line, and they don't get it done.
Adam Shearer was really good in the second half. In fact, the Blues, their third quarter, 8 goals, shows you, if you're looking for positives as Carlton supporters, they can play footy when they're up and running. It just felt like the first half they were tentative. They were not allowing themselves to express themselves. But, yeah, and in the last term, it felt like they tightened up. It's an experience, a very gut-wrenching experience for Carlton.
No Walsh, no Hewitt as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that changes anything, but it was a close game. Carlton fans will be waking up.
We're Collingwood supporters. They get the double. They get, A, they beat Carlton by a point,
yes,
and B, they knock Carlton out of the finals.
These sort of like games will be
for years
folklore. Like and you'll never stop talking about it where you were at the MCG. There's 90,000 people in Melbourne saying I was sitting here when this happened, when Jamie Elliott, the knife
does it again.
Oh no.
Does it again.
Unbelievable. Who do we both pick, by the way?
We both picked Carlton, hoping, and you know what, we were not far off.
Very good. Last game of the round, Sydney defeats St Kilda by 14 points. This ended up being closer than I thought it would be. There was a couple of moments late. Wilkie or someone had on the line, went the fist instead of the hand, and it just missed past. Sydney kicked a goal. Sydney kicked a couple of late goals. St Kilda had all the momentum, and I thought Fremantle's a chance here. Fremantle's is still a chance, which not many people thought they would be. St Kilda really took it up to Sydney, but Sydney get the job done. Similar to Fremantle, St Kilda's not a good side. They're still challenging for top 8. Just Sydney still had to get the win done, and they did, and they were impressive in stages. For a game away from home as well, and they finished in the top 4.
Yeah, Dan Handleby, former Swan, finishes his career at St Kilda.
He was very good.
Yeah, interesting that he's pulled the pin. He's just got back from a long-term injury, so he just forced maybe. Yeah, either way, his career's over. Rowbottom was great for the Swans. 30 touches, 7 tackles, 7 clearances. Now Max King, 5 behinds last week, 5 goals this week. Isn't it funny how
he
couldn't miss? Oh, dear. But I guess the big concern, just in brief, Tom Pappley, concussion. Now, if Sydney were playing a Thursday night final on Thursday week...
Which they're not.
Yes. They're playing Friday. But Thursday is 11 days from yesterday, which means that he wouldn't have been able to play in that final against Melbourne. Because it's obviously you need 12 days, they're playing Friday night. He is eligible from concussion to play.
Wow. That's a big for them, because he plays this role. He's a small forward. He's the agitator. But he's a good player, and he gets at the feet of McDonald and Franklin, and you can see he's an energy guy. When he does something well, the boys get around him. So there you go. Season done and dusted. Round 23 in the books. We know what finals looks like. It's been fun here on the Shelter FootyCast. I am here to say this will continue going. We're going to go through finals, but we're going after finals as well. This is an all year round thing. Skeet will be over in Legian speaking to Larry at some stage, so he'll go off and have a bit of a holiday, make sure our merch is all sorted out over there. But we'll have new hosts coming in and out. Simon Beaumont from 6PR will be sitting in this seat next week, as I just, again, just make sure we've got everything sorted over in the European continent.
So I'm going to Legian. You're going to Leguana or somewhere, right?
Belgium, Amsterdam. Hey, BackChat will be covering from there. You're welcome to dial in from just here in BackChat Studios. We do have to do the Shelter XPA X Factor of the week. Can't give it to a West Coast player. They've had a few actually over the last few. Michael Walters in his 200th game, 3 goals. he's been a great player for a long time, and he stepped up when it counted.
He did, and he needed to show some of his craftiness, didn't he, against the Giants? 200 games. He's been interesting to see where you put him on the list of all-time great Fremantle players. You've obviously got, Pavlich, Fife, Mundy's your top three. But is he top 10?
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely in there. They did the 25 of 25. He'd be in that. In terms of small forwards go, that there would be, Ballantyne. Jeffrey Farmer played there for a while, but I think Mickey Walters would probably be in front of both of those guys in terms of games played and goals kicked and moments had. So it's good to see him go well. Grew up with Nick Natanui, of course.
That's why when you see the M, it's not for Michael Walters, it's for Midland. When his celebration it's Midland related, nothing to do with a sponsorship or his name, but we love that. Remembering his roots. So well done, son, and hope you enjoy the beer, which you won't get to drink for maybe 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, correct.
Or 5.
Hopefully 5. Flagmantle, you know what to do. If you're watching Flagmantle, Michael Walters, you know what to do. If you have any regional footy stories, if you have any stories of footy across the weekend, you can get them into us, footycast@shelterbrewing.com.au. Follow us on socials, Shelter FootyCast. Mark Reddings, I leave this show in your very capable hands. Socials, YouTube, podcast. I'll be in Europe. Make sure you don't stuff it up, mate.
Social media, yeah, good for me to be left with that. But Simon Bowman will join me on Thursday. Safe travels to you and Dan, and hopefully you get some great content. Stay safe, and please don't let me hear. But first tonight, West Coast Eagles premiership player Will Schofield is behind bars in a Belgian jail. Arrested for disorderly conduct, found naked on a motorbike.
Shelter footy and wearing a Shelter t-shirt. See you later. See you next week.